here's a tough question.
It's true. Very
How
tricky.
do you like your bacon?
Do you like it chewy? Do you like it crispy? What about you?
I like it in between.
I just like bacon.
Yeah,
That's all I need.
true. What about you, Chef Bill?
I like my bacon kind of chewy. I don't like it overly crisp.
Somewhere in the middle.
You're right. I'm not saying I like my medium rare, but I do like it a little bit chewy.
So now, Chef Bill, he's a personal chef from chefbill.com. You're going to share your chef secrets with us for cooking bacon.
Yes, and actually there are 3 ways to cook bacon. 2 of them are really, really great. One of them is you do it only if you have to.
Okay.
And what I've got here, I've just started, it's starting to sweat a little bit. I put the bacon in the skillet. This is the one 99.93% of the whole world does, is they throw the bacon in the skillet, and then the whole house smells spectacular. But this is the most popular method, and it's a great method. What you want to do when doing it in the skillet is, believe it or not, start with a cold pan.
So you're putting the bacon into a cold pan.
Exactly, and that's what I've done here, and that's why you don't hear a sizzle yet. We should be hearing a sizzle in a few minutes. And the reason why you want to put it in a cold pan is because if it's really too hot, or even kind of a medium hot thing, that's how you get a lot of burning and scorching on the bacon. And so this way, the heat comes up gently. It looks like it's sweating a little bit. Believe me, it's not sweating. But so you've got it in the skillet like that cold, and it'll take about 15 minutes or so. If you try and speed up the process with bacon, what's going to happen is it's going to cook, but it's going to have still a lot of the fat there. So it's got to give the fat a chance to render and to cook down a little bit. So that's one thing. But having just said that, say, well, gee, what if I want more than one batch of bacon? Excuse me, more than one batch, and the pan's already warm. Well, empty out the fat, cool it down for just a moment. It doesn't have to be, ice cold, but, and you see we got the sizzle starting right there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be ice cold, but you do want to cook it on a medium, maybe medium high, depending on medium heat. And so some people say, just flip it once. You don't want to keep messing around with it. There's no rule of thumb. If you say, gee, that's not quite done, when the bottom's done, you can flip it back and forth. That's fine.
Now, my question is, how do you dispose of all the bacon fat and grease, or are there other ways that you can use it?
Well, there are 2 popular things to do with it. One is a lot of people like to cook with the bacon fat, especially that morning if they're having eggs, do it up instead of in butter or in a spray. That's really your personal choice. Some people find it a little bit too heavy, but again, if you like that, that's one way of doing it. But if you are going to be throwing out the bacon fat, don't put it down your disposal, or don't put it down the sink drain, because you stand a really good chance of clogging the drain.
Yeah.
Because the next step, and I'll get back to the drain, is the best thing is if you have a can, or if, certainly not a jar if you're pouring the hot bacon in, but a can, pour it in. It'll either solidify at room temperature or pop it in your fridge, and it'll turn nice and hard, and you can throw it out that way. And that's why, getting back to throwing it down your sink drain, if you follow it with cold water down the drain, it's going to solidify and it's going to block your drain.
You don't want
that. Don't want to do that. And also going to mess with septic systems. So best thing to do is to not throw it down the drain. So you have a choice instead of either cooking with it or just tossing it out, but chilling it first, that way you're not pouring hot bacon into your trash.
All right, so Chef Bill, you said you like your bacon kind of chewy.
I do.
How do we get it to that perfect chewiness?
It's just a matter of time and temperature. With so many things with cooking, just cook it as you like it. Now you can see how it's starting to get a little wavy there. It's starting to cook. We've got the nice sizzle going. You can really tell. Not many foods you can tell by looking at them. Bacon, you can tell the look of it, and if you can tell if it's going to be very darker and it's chewier. Versus being crunchy. Again, it's really how you like to do it.
Okay.
So just a matter of keep an eye on it, but also you want to keep an eye on it, especially if there are kids, little children around. The bacon grease can burn you, so you want to be very careful with the bacon, and that's why it's a good thing you actually do it a little farther back in the stove.
My folks, they invested in a bacon shield, and it's this little mesh thing that they put over it. It's amazing. They've never gotten scalded by bacon since they bought it.
And that's a great thing. The bacon shield does work real well because you don't want to put a lid on because that can catch on fire. So it lets the air in and you can keep an eye on it. So the bacon shield, that's a good way to go. Some people don't love the bacon shield because once you've used it once, it will never be ever clean.
It's true.
Because you got these little fine meshes things. But
so you don't want to put a lid on it.
You don't want to put a lid on it.
Okay.
That's a really good point. Because again, the heat's building up. Well, a couple of things is you've got the steam coming in there, and you could just risk a fire, especially if you have a gas stove. So best to let it, even with the bacon, the grease splattering a little bit, because there is going to be splatter.
And you can always clean up, right? All right, so
Absolutely.
This is one way. We still have 2 other great ways to cook bacon.
2 great ways to do it.
We're going to come back because I think we have to wait till that's done so we can try it, right?
I think so.
And then we'll come back to show everyone the other 2 methods to cooking bacon. Stay tuned. We'll have more with Chef Bill in just a bit.
Hey, we're back with Chef Bill Collins, chefbill.com, and we have been eating bacon, making bacon. I mean,
I think it's the best bacon I've ever had.
it might be.
Well, not necessarily the bacon it's not the bacon, but the bacon maker.
Well,
That's what
thank
I'm
you
trying to
very
say.
much.
Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
You're the best bacon maker around.
Oh,
So
thank you, thank you.
this is the traditional way to do it.
This is the traditional way of doing it, and as you can see, it's done. So I've got some paper towel here, and I'm just going to pull it over. And this way, now there are two ways. One, you can put it on the paper towel. Some people like to use a brown paper bag as a way of
Really?
absorbing the paper. It's perfectly fine too.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, actually, brown paper bags are really good for that kind of thing.
Oh, that's good to know.
It is. It's one of the little secrets. They're also good for potato pancakes during the Hanukkah season. You can save that one too.
And did you put it on another one on top?
You can put one on top, absolutely.
Now, would that be considered chewy bacon?
Yes. A little bit beyond chewy because I realize not everybody loves the chewy bacon. So you just let that sit for a moment, and I think that's probably good. You don't want to go crazy because you do want some of the grease on there.
yeah,
That's
you
part
do.
of the beauty of it.
And no worries, we'll eat that shortly.
I think that will be eaten.
But in the meantime, let's talk about the other two ways that we've prepared the bacon. This one is very delicious, and you did it in the oven.
Yes,
My
I
favorite.
did. Exactly. And here's the great thing about this is no muss, no fuss. There's no splattering. There might be a little in the oven, but that's no big deal. You want to do it on a sheet rack, on a cooling rack, on top of a sheet pan with foil. Now, this happens to be a big full-size cooling rack. You can line up two smaller ones if you want, and just kind of lay them across like that. Another advantage of this is even with a large skillet, you can get 4, maybe 5 slices of bacon in it. And you can touch the bacon in the skillet, but you don't want to overlap them because they won't cook. In here, you could probably fit almost 3/4 of a pound of bacon because even though they're going to start big and shrink a bit, you can still line it all up, and even down along the sides, you can fill up every square inch of this with bacon, and so you can cook a lot more.
And then you can walk away.
You can walk away, and
Sure.
it takes about 15 minutes or so. Check it after 10 minutes, see how it's doing. The temperature you want to do it at is 375. If you go 350 or 400, that's fine. It's not an exact science, but keep an eye on it. Another hint for doing it in the oven, and I did it with this, is just sprinkle a little brown sugar on. Not a lot, just a little bit, and it gives out a little sweetness with the
I've
smokiness.
never had that before. It is so good. Try it.
It's
Try it
really
if you've
good.
never tried it.
And also, maple syrup, just a little drizzle of maple syrup will give you the same effect. It's just wow, because you have a maple cured bacon, it just all comes out really well like that. And so that's the oven technique. It's so easy, and especially if you have a convection oven, you can put a few racks in at the same time. If you don't, just do one at a time. Now, the third method, and I will recommend this for people who don't have an oven, thank you, is do it in the microwave. It is not as chewy or as spectacular as the other two ways, but it'll do the trick because when you need the bacon fixed, you need the bacon fixed.
Yeah, when you need bacon, you need bacon,
You
and
need
nothing's
bacon.
going to stop you.
And this is so easy and it's so fast. A few pieces of paper towel on the bottom, a couple pieces on top, and put it in initially for 2 minutes because all microwaves vary. Oh, I like that look. And then
She sees bacon, she just wants to eat it. She doesn't care who knows. Or who she
I don't
hurts
care
in
who
the way.
knows.
She just wants it.
and then just put a couple pieces of paper towel on top, and maybe a total of 4, maybe 5 minutes. Just check it every minute to see how it's doing. It's perfectly fine. It's tasty. Everybody loves it. It's not as spectacular as the other two methods, but it works really well. But if you're going to choose one, go with the oven one.
I would say so too.
Go with the oven
Go with
one.
the
Now,
oven
With
one.
brown sugar.
here's the question that hasn't been answered yet. Chewy versus crispy. Is it a time thing? How do you get what you need out of
It's
it?
all time because if you pull it out a little bit sooner, it'll still be chewier. If you just leave it in for a minute or two longer, even leave it in the skillet for another minute longer, you can see as it cooks up. This is a little browner, a little chewier. See, at the end, that's a little chewier, whereas the one that came out of the oven still a little more pliable.
This,
I'm
well,
sorry.
this was from the
I'm
skillet.
sorry, I meant the skillet.
Yep.
I don't know an oven.
I
from
knew
the skillet.
exactly what you meant. I read your mind.
You know,
I knew
we're
exactly.
all
what
just
you
getting
meant.
excited. Our mouths are watering. Our stomachs
Yeah,
are
I
rumbling
just
because there's so
want
much
a
bacon
piece.
here.
That's right. It's so that way, the whole thing is leave it a little bit longer, the chewier you want it. It really is just a matter of longer time cooking.
Chef
and
Bill?
just a little bit longer.
I love it. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank
and,
you.
Let's eat some bacon, shall
I think
we?
it's bacon
Yum.
time.
And you
Let's eat
can
some bacon.
tune in next week for even more chef secrets with Chef Bill, and for a copy of this recipe and all the different ways you can cook your bacon, just head to our website, mymassappeal.com later on today.